What if Donald Trump never thought of running for president? Hello dreamers, my name is Hallucynations. You can call me Sin for short, and I will be talking about dangerously hot topics that is going on in the world right now to spread awareness about how our future will be. And every day I will be posting these videos to spread awareness, and the topic of the day is, what if Donald Trump never ran for president? Most of the underlying tensions in the US politics would still exist, but they likely would have been expressed in a less chaotic, less personalized way, with different Republican leaders channeling them and somewhat lower levels of polarization, institutional stress, and global shock. What about we talk about the core idea of this alternate timeline first? The economical, cultural, demographic anxieties that helped Trump win were already there though. Anger at elites, globalization, immigration, loss of manufacturing jobs, racial tension. Without Trump, another populist or hard-right Republican likely rises, but with less celebrity power and less norm-breaking behavior. So you still get Trumpism, but more institutional and less chaotic. US politics is still polarized, but you probably avoid some specific shocks. No Trump Twitter presidency, no Trump-style Stop the Steal movement, and a weaker global far-right wave. Next, 2016 and after. Who replaces Trump? Imagine 2016 without him. The Republican field is Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, etc. And what about the party directions? GOP elites had already been drifting toward hardline immigration politics and culture war issues since at least the 1990s. Likely nominee types would be Ted Cruz, where strongly ideologic, religious right, but more conventional in style than Trump. And what about Marco Rubio? Well, he's the type to be more polished, where he's also a young conservative, still supports tough immigration and free market economics. Where most likely the election result would be a non-Trump Republican might either lose to Hillary Clinton because they cannot mobilize disaffected non-voters the way Trump did, or win but a more normal conservative presidency like tax cuts, judges, deregulation, but less personal drama. So either way, dreamers, you still get large corporate tax cuts and deregulation because these were long-term conservative goals, not unique to Trump. Conservative judges, though probably not as extreme as the Supreme Court shift as Trump delivered by appointing 3 justices. So let's start with the domestic policy. Many outcomes likely look similar in broad direction, but less extreme or confrontational. The economy would most likely be Republicans were already pushing big tax cuts and deregulation. Those likely still happen in some form. The climate and environment will be a Republican president, probably still rolls back to many Obama-era climate rules, though maybe with less open hostility toward climate science. The courts and social issues will still be wanting to push the courts rightward, but Trump's direct promise to pick judges to overturn Roe v. Wade superchanged the religious right. Without him, that movement is weaker and slower. The political norms would likely avoid a president constantly attacking the media as an enemy of the people, refusing to disclose finances, and pressuring institutions in such a direct daily way. And one last thing, the democracy and polarization. Where the polarization is, it was already rising for decades, but Trump made the partisan gap in approval ratings the widest of any modern president. Without him, the gap probably would still grow, but not as sharply. And what about the disinformation and fake news? Online misinformation would still expand, but the specific framing of fake news as a presidential weapon against media critics is less likely. But what about the January 6th style crisis? A contested election could still happen in the future, but Trump personally fueled a unique leader-driven attempt to overturn results. That specific event likely doesn't happen in this timeline in foreign policy. Alliances would probably have skepticism toward forever wars, and NATO costs existed in both parties, but Trump open threat posture toward allies was unusually, where a different Republican might be more traditional, keeping closer to NATO norms. While the anxiety over China and trade imbalances had been building for years, even without Trump, the US policy was shifting towards more confrontation with China, but tariffs and trade wars might be rolled out more cautiously. And what about the global populism? Well, Trump's victory energized right-wing populists worldwide as a proof of concept. Without him, these movements still exist, but have less iconic model to point to or to blame to. In a no-Trump timeline, the ideology like nationalism, immigration restriction, anti-globalization, resentment politics still finds a champion, but that leader is more constrained by party elites. The style is less reality TV and more standard right-wing populism, where the religious right and gun right activists still accumulate power, but Trump's unique willingness to say out loud that he would be appointing justice to overturn Roe v. Wade was a turning point. Without him, their gains are more gradual. The party elites might feel less hostage to one man's personality and social media presence, which makes internal correction after scandals, failures, etc. a bit easier. That's all for my research, dreamers. But in conclusion, in a realm where Donald Trump never harbored the ambition to seek the presidency, the grand tapestry of American politics would weave a subtler pattern, one marked by simmering tensions rather than explosive ruptures. The deep-seated grievances fueling his ascent, discontent with globalization's erosion of manufacturing jobs, unease over rapid demographic shifts, and a profound distrust of coastal elites would persist, bubbling beneath the surface like a pot left too long on the flame. Yet, without Trump's magnetic bravado and unfiltered rhetoricness, these forces might have coalesced around a more conventional figure, perhaps a more Ted Cruz with his sharp ideological edge, or a Marco Rubio cloaked in youthful polish, steering the Republican Party towards nationalism without the spectacle of reality television governance, where the 2016 election then unfolds not as a seismic revolt, but as a fierce yet familiar contest, potentially crowning Hillary Clinton or installing a standard bearer who tempers populism. I don't know if I even read my script right, with institutional restraints. Policies like corporate tax reductions and regulatory rollbacks, long cherished by conservatives, would still likely materialize, but absent the personalized vendettas and norm-shattering tweets that amplified every rift into a chasm. Domestically, this alternate vista reveals a nation grappling with division, yet spared the sharpest barbs of Trump's era. Polarization already cresting like waves against the weathered shore since the turn of the millennium would deepen inexorably. I don't know how to pronounce it because I just got that word off of Google. Driven by social media's echo chambers and cultural fault lines, but without a leader who branded the press as enemies or dismissed factual anchors as fake news. The erosion of shared truth might proceed at a steadier, less vertiginous pace. I'm sorry. The judiciary tilts rightward under any Republican helm, appointing jurists to unravel precedents like Roe v. Wade, though Trump's explicit vows supercharged the evangelic base, making such shifts swift faster and more triumphant in our reality. Here, progress unfolds gradually with less triumphant fanfare. Economic anxieties persist, birthing trade skirmishes with China born of bipartisan suspicion rather than tariff tempests, while climate skepticism lingers among conservatives, stalling green ambitions without the overt mockery that galvanized opponents. Institutions endure greater resilience unscarred by a January 6th inferno or relentless assaults on electoral integrity, fostering a polity where compromise flickers dimly but endures. On the global stage, America's posture softens into familiar contours, where alliances like NATO, weathering storms without existential taunts as a non-Trump leader, channels pre-existing war weariness into pragmatic retrenchment rather than bombastic isolationism. The populist tide sweeping Europe and beyond loses its American lodestar. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Lodestar. I got many of these words off of a website. So, diminishing the allure of strongman charisma for figures abroad while US-China rivalry simmers with strategic decoupling but fewer escalatory blusters, domestically reborn as a media titan or business colossus. Trump might qualify conservative voices through airwaves or ventures, subtly nudging discourse without commanding the Oval Office. The Republican Party, in this gentler metamorphosis, sheds some establishment husks for populist vigor, embracing America first without fully eclipsing traditional conservatives like a lingering Mitch McConnell or Paul Ryan acolytes, yet retains threads of bipartisanship in foreign policy and fiscal orthodoxy, averting to the full MAGA hegemony orthodoxy that reshaped primaries and caucuses into loyalty tests. So ultimately, this counterfactual whispers that Trump was both catalyst and conductor, accelerating fault lines etched long before his shadow fell across the political coliseum, yet his absence unveils a republic not wholly transformed, where the United States emerges more stable in its institutions, less fractured in public trust, with polarizations advised checking if not halted, and global leadership exercised through quieter authority rather than disruptive flair. Populism endures, morphing through other vessels, but the fever pitch of personality-driven strife yet yields to policy debates tinged with civility. In this ideal sketch, resources abound for prosperity, untapped bipartisanship, and infrastructure measured with immigration reforms, blending security with humanity, painting a nation that navigates its tempest with enduring poise, its democratic vessels sailing steadier waters towards an uncertain but less turbulent horizon. That's all from me for today, dreamers. Thank you so much for your time and attention if you have listened to the end, and I will see you tomorrow. Hello dreamers, this is Sin after editing, and I have a lot of bloopers, but I am sadly embarrassed to be posting them on my video, so I'll just be putting them on my WhatsApp channel. If you do not have the access to my WhatsApp channel, I will be linking it down on my TikTok, and see you tomorrow.